Alright, doing another posing tutorial today. We've got Joe Zeto here. Say hi, Joe.
Hi.
He spoke. Joe doesn't like to speak much. He's a bit of a mute. Anyway, let's get to the posing. Again, this isn't the way that it has to be done. This is the way that I do it personally, or that Joe does it personally as well. It's the way that I want my clients to do it, but for anyone else who's going to get any interest or gain some knowledge out of this, then by all means, apply it to your own posing too. So last time I basically went over the relaxed poses, so I could skip that today, but I'm not going to. We'll just go through a quick version of the relaxed poses, and then we'll get stuck into some mandatory poses. With posing, we're always going to start from the feet up. So always, when you're getting your positioning, you get your foot positioning first. So we'll do the front relaxed. Get your foot positioning, so you get your feet in place, and then it's from the feet up to the knees. Think about your knees too. You don't want your knees locked out. You want to be soft at the knees, basically with your calves facing inwards towards each other, so you get more of a flare on your quads too. So let's go. So we're from the feet up, soft at the knees, then harden the legs, tilt your hips back. Like Joe's got his hips tilted back into this, so the top of his quads switch on as well. And notice he doesn't have a wide stance. It's pretty close together to keep that negative space closed. Then from the feet, we go up and we do the upper body. So you're going to strike, we're doing front relaxed. So get into your front relaxed position. Always keeping the midsection on or vacuum if you're doing classic. Joe's preference is always vacuum. And then notice his lats are switched on as well. Shoulders are nice and wide. Hands are in like they're holding shopping bags. Everything's on. It's harder to tell now because he's not as hard as he was on comp. But his arms are on, everything's on, shoulders are on, lats are pushing them out, and that's how you want a front relaxed to look. Always don't look down, don't look up, just tilt. You can tilt your head up a little bit. You don't want to look like you're ashamed of the pose. You kind of want to hold it with pride. And smile, Joe. Do you remember that? There we go. We've got a smile out of him. That doesn't happen very often. Would have helped on stage, but we'll get there. Right, so now we're going to do a quarter turn. It's always quarter turn to the right on your relaxed poses. So again, starting with the feet, quarter turn to the right. Watch Joe's footing, see? Just step, step, and he's in. So the legs are on first again, then it's midsection, and the top's on also. His upper body, lats are on, everything's hard, chest's hard. Arms scooped up under the chest to get that little pop he's got here. Yeah, and that's how your quarter turn should look. Let's do another quarter turn to the rear. So step, step. Quarter turn to the rear. See, he switched his legs on again first. It was feet up. So his hamstrings are on. You're basically suctioning your feet to the floor to switch the hamstrings on. His hips are thrust forward, so the glutes are on. Everything's nice and hard. Lats are on. Lats are pushing his shoulders out again. And we'll do one more quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. And again, same as the side, on the other side. Everything's from the feet up and nice and tight. Good job. All right, now we're going to go over some of the mandatory or compulsory poses. We'll start off with the front double bicep pose. Again, it's from the feet up. So let's hit it. Front double bi and strike. See, he started with the feet again. Joe chooses to do the style with the leg out to the side a bit, which that's my personal preference too. I see he's not locked at the legs anywhere. Knees are always soft, so he can switch the quads on. Again, his hips are pushed back, so the quads are on. And top's nice and tight too. Joe's a classic poser, so he's put that slight tilt on him. You can either do it with the tilt or hit more of a straight pose. This is without the feet up. And that's a variation of the front double bicep, more of a bodybuilding, not a classic pose. All right, cool. So now we'll go into front lat spread. So his legs are already in position on this one. All he's going to do is start from the legs again, so everything's switched on. So switch the legs on, soft at the knees, hips are pushed back, and hit it, lat spread, front lat spread. There, see? You need to get good lat control as well to be able to do this. You'll learn that with your front relaxed. So you want to push your arms forward, but Joe's his elbows aren't too far forward that it's closing the pose up. It still looks nice and wide because he's got good width from here to here. which makes the pose look much more like a front lat spread should, and he's got that hourglass shape, which looks great. Okay, from the front lat spread, we're going to transition into a side chest now. So that's also, with the footing, you don't have to do anything fancy, no sliding around or anything like that. Joe likes to throw some fancy transitions in sometimes. I'm not even sure what he's going to do this time. We'll try not to make it too complicated, okay? Okay. So let's, well, actually we can do two versions. So let's just do a basic transition to side chest. Again, this is going to be from the ground up. So get your foot positioning first, and then switch everything on from the ground up. That's it. So he's got the knee nice and tight into his hamstring here. So he's got a lot more hang on the hammy. Transition's nice and neat on this one. And there, he's twisted, kind of like a corkscrew movement around to the side. So it looks much, it looks like a nice pose. Like his legs are looking nice and full because he's got them jammed together. The hammy's hanging down. And the top, he's got his waist in nice and tight, and the top's nice and wide. It looks like a beautiful pose like that. All right, you want to, you can either hit it with a different, go back to lat spread and hit it with a different transition. Just give us a sample of that. Sample example. So let's go. So, Joe loves doing fancy little, most muscular transitions. He's really good at this shit. That's why he's here doing it for me. So that transition was a lot more complicated, but it looked grouse. It looks really good, and it gives a really good stage presence when you know what you're doing like that. Joe looks like he's done about 20 comps and he's done only one. He's put a lot of practice into posing, and it's really paid off. So anyone else, I give you that advice too, just practice, practice, practice. All right, so that chest looks nice and neat too. Do you want to give a classic variation? And there's a classic variation of a side chest. Personally, I don't like them that much, but Joe does it well. It looks good on Joe. So generally when we practice this, we go from side chest, transition into rear double bicep. So let's spin that around. Just keep a close eye on Joe's footing to see what he does here, because it's a bit more of a confusing one. I'm seeing a lot of people sliding their feet around doing some weird shit. Don't fucking do that, that looks fucked. So he's straight into his pose from the feet, from the ground up again. Switch the hammies on, his hammies are on. Push the hips forward so glutes are on. And hit rear double bicep and strike. See Joe's transition there, looks really good. He switched everything on. He showcased what he's built there, and it looks great. He's nice and wide, lats are on. He's got a good Christmas tree there, and it's just a beautiful looking pose. Joe's lucky he's got these little fucking peaks on his bicep. I'm really running him into the ground here. He's holding this pose for a long time. He could probably hold it for another 10 minutes. I've seen him on stage, he's unreal. But let's transition this into a rear lat spread. Again, he's showcasing his back muscle there. And he's nice and wide. Legs are on, hammies are on. Also with this one I should state that you put your heel up so that calves are on. Joe's calves on, his hammies on. Joe can hold poses forever, it's ridiculous. And he's got a really nice hourglass shape there. He's got the X factor. His lats have actually come out a lot, even since comp. Looks good, and it's just nice and wide. So the rear lat spread's a little bit different to the front one, whereas with the front one you keep your arms more out, which Joe has on this one also. But with this one you can push it forward to get a little bit more width. I'm not sure if you're able to do that, Joe. Give it a try. Just push your elbows forward a bit and lean back into it a bit more. I'm not sure how that looked on camera, but you may have got a bit more width out of that. Personally, when I do that, I get more width. All right, so let's transition this from rear lat into side tricep. So just nice two little steps. Again, it's from the ground up, feet up, so everything's on. You're back into the same leg position as the side chest, with your knee pushed into your calf, and sometimes there's required variations on side tricep as well. They might ask you to put calf back, so let's go calf back. Good, so that's the two different variations you'll get on, you might be required to do on a side tricep. There is also another variation which I won't get into do just yet because we'll move up to the midsection. So on this one, We've got to keep the belly in nice and tight, which Joe's doing. And you need to corkscrew it around again so you get width on the top. And a lot of people, even myself, lock this pose out like that. And it doesn't need to be locked out like that. It's better to go with a bit of a soft elbow. Then you can really switch the tricep on, and you're able to corkscrew and turn around to make the pose look a little bit wider. All right, so now that we've hit that version of the side tricep, we'll hit a more classic side tricep. So let's transition into that. And I want you to take a good look at where Joe's footing is, because your foot positioning on this pose makes a massive difference. I've seen people doing it like out here, that looks fucked. Don't put it over here, that's like a woman's pose. So Joe's got he's hit the nail on the head. This is a grouse pose on Joe as well. So everything's nice and fluid. Legs are on, quads are in the right positioning to see sweep on both. Midsection's in, and he's nice and wide up the top. Let's give him another smile. He makes it look very difficult, doesn't he? Just think happy thoughts when you're on stage and smile, because that makes a massive difference. If you can make the poses look as relaxed as Joe does, like it comes so naturally to Joe, he's just spinning on his dick basically while he's doing it. It's not a problem, so to speak. Anyway, you want to make it look easy and relaxed like Joe does. And if you can smile while you're doing it, bonus. You're gonna get points on stage for that. Okay, now we're going to transition from side tricep into abs and thighs. Personally, I fucking hate this pose. I don't have the mobility for it. I could train for it, so you guys should do the same thing. Just train for mobility on this one. I find if you do like on the bench, you do pullovers with a dumbbell. It's really good to get some flexibility and mobility for this pose. Anyway, so let's transition into abs and thighs. Again, just a small foot movement. Everyone's footing is going to look a little bit different. Like, it's definitely personal preference on this pose, especially with foot positioning, because everyone has different shape. This is Joe's preferred. That looks really good because it flows nicely. So you can either crunch it in and switch the abs on, which we're still growing on, Joe. We're getting there though. And it's hard up here to keep your lats out, but the way Joe's got it, it flows nice and fluidly like all of his poses. So this is a good one for him. Or you can hit a vacuum. So let's hit the vacuum. This is more of a classic variation, of course. He's got the toe up a bit more. It flows a bit more this way. And for some reason he seems to be able to hit a vacuum whenever he wants. I can't, I'm fucked after a vacuum. All right, is there a classic variation for this one? There is, yeah?
The vacuum is pretty classic.
Yeah, but is there any shit you do with your arm? I don't think there is, or there is, or... All right, fuck it. Anyway, now we're just going to do some of Joe's favourite, more fun poses that he likes to do, because when he's on stage, I don't know if you've seen him or not, but he hits about 10 times more poses than the rest of anyone who's up there. So go on, have some fun. Let's see some classic poses. Whatever classic variations you want, whatever classic poses you want. Nice. Again, that was from the feet up. Let's hit another pose. Again, beautiful pose, nice and fluid throughout. I feel like the 3/4 Arnold pose is coming on soon, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit that one. This one's the best. And he hits it like a boss. Again, from the feet up, everything's nice. And from the judge's point of view, that's going to look great. All right, let's hit another one. What do you got? You're not going to run into poses, are you? Nice, he's doing a rear archer pose into what would be classed as a rear double bi, yeah, for classic. Yeah. A rear double bi variation. What else you got? Nice, another one that's aspired. Would you say it's an Arnold pose?
Arnold.
Yeah, definitely an Arnold pose. Inspired by Arnold is what I was trying to say. Sorry, I'm losing my words again. Got anything else? Nice. What else you got? Yeah, this guy just keeps going forever. We could probably stand here for another half an hour and he wouldn't run out of any poses. This is all very classic stuff for you guys who are doing classic. And he pulls off every pose nicely. And if you've been watching, everything's from the feet up again. Well, that's probably enough for today. Anything else you wanted to do?
No.
Sure you don't want to talk? Do you want to talk about anything? You never shut up. Anything you want to say about anything?
I can't think of anything.
Shut up, Joe. Stop talking.
Okay.
So we'll go through a quarter turn as well. Get Joe back into his front relaxed. So hit that front relaxed. Now let's go quarter turn to the right. Watch Joe's footing when he does this. So quarter turn to the right. That was left. Start again.